Okay, hello, and welcome to the Style of Play. Now, we were gearing up earlier today to just talk about football results, and we are going to talk about football results from the weekend. But I think there's something else we need to talk about, guys. And guys, just when I thought people couldn't get dumber, believe me, people always raise the bar, and a lot of them tend to be professionals. Basil, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. I'm all right. I'm all right. I got to say good. Then obviously the results flashed back to my head. So I said, I'm doing all right.
I've got this luminous night on, like I'm the Undertaker, on my face, because I feel like we need to just delve into it. So for those of you who have been living under a rock in the football world, David Coote has been, quite frankly, exposed. He is in a video talking about Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp in particular. And in this video, that's probably one of 50 out there that we just don't know about. But I'm going to give you some transcripts here. I'm not going to read the whole thing out. But the man next to him, I believe, is his friend. Now, just bear in mind, by the way, if I was a professional at a top level sport and someone is recording me like this, I'm not saying a damn thing. And I'm not looking directly into the camera and saying what I want to say. But, so be it. So then I asked him, what did you make of the Liverpool game earlier when you were fourth official? And his first response to that was, Liverpool was shit. What did you think of Jurgen Klopp? See you next Tuesday. Absolute see you next Tuesday. Why would you say that Jurgen Klopp was such a see you next Tuesday? Aside from having a right pop at me when I refereed them against Burnley in lockdown, he accused me of lying and then just had a right effing pop at me. And I've got no interest in speaking to someone who is effing arrogant. So I did my best not to speak to him. Milner's all right, though. I get on with him. Yes. Okay. He ended it. I'm going to end it here with, he said, oh my God, German, see you next Tuesday, F me. So not only was he stupidly disrespectful and rude towards the manager and the club, he also used the word German and then it's called him a see you next Tuesday. For those of you that don't know what that means, you'll find out soon enough. Long story short, Jurgen Klopp's to see you next Tuesday. Liverpool are all effing bellends, despite the fact that he said he gets some Welsh Milner, so I guess he's a bellend as well. And we hate effing Scousers. Basil. I don't even know what to ask. I can't even ask you a question. Just go ahead.
I mean, I'm more interested to see how the PGMOL, how they respond to this, how they try and cover this up, because do you know what? I saw a tweet earlier and it kind of made sense. And I don't know how they go about it, but someone's like, what these clubs need to do is find a way to dissociate like football from the PGMOL and find a different alternative. And it's true, because I've always maintained it's run like a mafia. They can do no wrong. You can say no wrong about them and everyone gets punished. I think it's ridiculous, like, for people to give honest assessments about their poor performances and then they're fined and banned for a number of games. It's absolute crazy.
Absolutely.
I can understand if you're insulting the referees, fair enough. Maybe there should be a level of code of conduct. But if you're highlighting bad performances, that shouldn't warrant a fine and a 3-match ban or how much ban that some of these managers or even players do get for highlighting blatant and obvious mistakes that we see on the pitch. I mean, it's quite bad we can't speak out against them. And you can see why. Ultimately, respect has to go two ways. And I don't think the referees give enough respect to the players and to the managers. But this is just damning because, especially when you're being recorded, you need to still remain professional, because you never, even if you're in the presence of friends, you never know where that video is going to go. I mean, everyone's your friend until they start releasing these videos. So he must, like I said, it's crazy for me. Like, if I'm in a certain position and someone's phone is up, I'm already aware that there's certain things I can't say or can't do, because I never know what's going to happen to that video. That video can come out 10 years, 20 years from now. It brings the whole reputation of the referee association in disrepute.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is just going to stoke more fire to the flames for people to talk about referees, talk about the association, and talk about how they behave. And I think ultimately it'll be very telling how Howard Webb and his goons respond to this, because they have to face it head on. If they come up with any excuse or any way to defend this, I think they will lose so much credibility very, very quickly, and the witch hunt will begin. Not from the clubs or the managers, but from the papers and from the media. And once the media start to talk about this and it's in the forefront of everyone, you'll start to say, yeah, I think it could bring about change in the future as to how the communication is with the referees and how we hold them accountable. And in fairness, I'm kind of happy this video has come out, because I think we need to start the process of holding referees and the referee association accountable for their actions and how they behave. This mafia club has got to come to an end where they can do what they want, no repercussions, and no one can say anything about them. And I hope that this video is the start of it all.
Oh, I believe more to come out, because this.
Even there's more to come, more videos.
Oh, I think more people are going to get exposed within the refereeing, PGMOL, whether you're a referee, whether you're someone that works within the association, because this is, look, I believe every referee is a fan of the sport. So every referee has their opinion. You can have an argument with a manager and absolutely feel annoyed and aggrieved, and some emotions you can't control. But you said it right there.
I think, Kojo, quickly, and I think you should say it once you're retired. I mean, if you feel a way about a manager or how players behave to you, say when you're retired. So at least then kind of there's no repercussions. I don't need to answer to Howard Webb, because obviously it's the end of my career. So if you kind of want to do interviews and say, Jurgen Klopp is this, the players are this because they've done this to me, fair enough. I mean, a lot of referees have said a lot of things when they retired and revealed things, but not while you're still refereeing, because then people biases and influences, and it becomes very messy.
Well, that's what I was going to allude to, because what he's not, what maybe he understands, maybe he doesn't understand. He's opened up a can of worms here where, firstly, he's being investigated. It's not only about what you said in the video. It sounds like, one, you've got a very strong agenda against Jurgen Klopp at his time at Liverpool. It sounds like you've got a strong agenda against Liverpool, because you mentioned Scousers as a whole. Liverpool fans, social media people are very quick to post evidence. In that particular season of games you've refereed or you've been in the VAR room, you have made very bad errors, including in their games. The notable one being the VAR when Pickford injured Van Dijk. He disallowed a goal for offside. Fair enough. But then I think we can all agree there should have been a red card in that incident, because he absolutely took him out. It wasn't just a case of, well, you seriously injured him, so you got to go off. Sort of like was it Shawcross that injured Ramsey years ago? Some people argue that it was accidental. Some people will not. I mean, we came to find out years later from one of the former players that Tony Pulis would go out there and say to the players, get in there and just damage players. So nasty business. But I think it's just the start of many, 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 many leaks coming out now. This is just going to open up a can of worms. But I like it as well. And I'll tell you why I like it just as much as you do. It's been corrupt for years. And every club has benefited from it one way or another. And that brings down fairness into the sport. Some decisions we've seen over the years have been, it's not even about questionable, they're just quite frankly ridiculous. There is no excuse to not give a certain penalty. There's no excuse to not give a certain red card. Even this season alone, apart from the Saliba one, we've seen 4 or 5 incidents where last men have been taking out their attackers and they've not got red cards. And it's just ridiculous. So I think it's going to open up a can of worms, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it to happen. Now, a question I've got for you, because I've seen a lot of different suggestions, different ideas about the refereeing. One of my friends made a good point saying they don't. Well, you said that you said it as well as they're sort of mafia run kind of association, but the idea of making new referees and how they do it from a young age, set up a precedent so that everything is unbiased, everything is fair. How do you deal, or I don't know how you, but maybe an idea of how you deal with the biasness of referees and try to remove it in the VAR room? Do you bring in?
That was the easiest one. The VAR room is the easiest one. Like I've always said, I could say, Kojo, we can watch games, and I guarantee if we put in VAR, we get at least, this is me being generous, we get at least 95% of the decisions correct. I think we'll probably get 100% of the decisions correct. Because the decisions that they're getting wrong are not hard decisions. The majority of them are easy decisions. And especially when you watch a replay, it's easy to come to a conclusion for a lot of these. So I sit there and I say, there's no excuse for them to get these decisions. I sit there and I get at least 100% of these decisions correct. The issue you have is refereeing themselves. But I've always said have independent officials who have no association with the referees whatsoever. You find them, you train them, you make sure they understand the rules. You have them officiating at VAR. So at least when they're making decisions, there are no biases. Because the issue, as you said, which is why they bring in these stupid rules like, oh, they don't want to re-referee the referee decision. It's because they're covering themselves. What they don't want to do is make tough decisions that go against their friends. Because ultimately, when the week is done and they have to see each other during the week for whatever meetings they do or whatever training they do, they have to have those tough discussions as to why did you overrule my decisions. Yeah. So what doing in the VR room is they're making decisions not to upset each other, and it's clear to see. And so for me, I've always said, I've never understood why referees are in the VAR room. A referee will make a bad decision on the pitch, and in a week or 2 weeks later, in the VAR room. A referee will make a bad decision in VAR. The following week is refereeing in a match. I'm like, it's ridiculous. You have the same guys making the same mistakes up there, re-referee and watching the game and re-refereeing. I've always said, just get different people. Get an independent third party who has no association with the referee. Make sure they're trained. Have them, even if it's for next season, have them in the background, monitoring these decisions, concluding these decisions. And then at the end of the game, you kind of want to say, okay, based upon what's happened, is it correct? Because that way you kind of do the training in the back without them doing it. Do the training in the background for, let's say, the remainder of the season. You then analyze how they've done, what decisions they've come up to, and then obviously say, okay, now they're ready to go into the VAR, and you put them in because then there's no bias when they're making the decisions. They're not thinking, they have no association with the referee on the pitch. They're not thinking, oh, I know him very well. I don't want to offend him. I don't want to step on his toes. Here's the decision. Go to the monitor. And like I said, if they send to the monitor and the referee still makes the wrong decisions, it's on the referee themselves. Yes. Like I said, I've always said it's easy. Just get third-party independent people to go into to manage the VAR process, and it solves all the problems. It absolutely solves all the problems.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think you've perfectly said it. So, look, David Coote's been suspended. Oh yeah, he'll be back. Yeah, I reckon what they'll probably do is just what they usually do. They'll relegate you to
100% relegate for championship for like maybe a month or so, and it'll be
let everything die down, and then one weekend you just hear his name again in a random game. You're like, oh god, this guy's back again.
The issue they face with David Coote is this, and I'll bring in here, is that when he comes back to refereeing, it's going to be the whole circus of, well, fans are going to, whatever game he's managing, the fans are going to bring up beforehand. It's going to be asked in the press conferences to the managers, and the managers guys have to go around and answer around that. But then it's like, there's going to be so much distrust when it comes to men. Like I said, God forbid he makes a bad decision. Everyone's going to mention why. And the thing is, I think, and they know that it's going to be tough, because I don't know if he'll be given any big games in the future. Because ultimately, we know that because of this, if he comes back, you can't manage it. You can't referee any Liverpool games because of what he said. Yeah. But then it means that you can't even manage big games, which have an influence if Liverpool are battling for maybe a top four or for a league. Because then he can still influence games by making sense. So he shot himself in the foot there.
Absolutely. It was funny. Aston Villa went to Liverpool. Who was the referee for that game?
Who was the referee? Don't tell me it was David Coote.
It was David Coote, yeah. It was David Coote.
The guy's a criminal because, the guy's ridiculous.
David Coote, because, I mean, remember the first goal, Darwin Núñez. You see in the replay, he
wasn't going to give... He wasn't going to give the foul, which I thought was insane because it's a clear foul.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely ridiculous. Wow. All right, let's head to the Premier League weekend. So, of course, we've had another uh, goal-filled weekend, this Premier League season weekend, and we're going to give you some results here. We'll start with Saturday. Brentford beat Bournemouth 3-2 rather. Another goal fest at the G-Tech Stadium. Brentford conceded a lot of goals, but Arsenal's certainly scoring a lot of goals. So Whistle came back from injury. He scored and he's scoring again at home. Last 5 games at home, he scores goals. Bournemouth unlucky. Bournemouth in and out of form, but tend to get results against the bigger boys. They beat you guys and they beat Man City recently. So, a couple points there. Palace's wretched form continues. A 2-0 loss at home to Fulham. Now I'm going to ask you the question, actually. What is the issue here for Palace? Have they just run out of steam, or are they just looking tactically lost on the pitch?
Good question. I think they've run out of steam. And it's what Palace do to them. The issue, and the Palace are an annoying club because the issue is that they never invest in the club properly. So what they do is they have their periods where they kind of bring in these bright sparks and they perform for a while, or they're sold, or they have injuries, and then they never kind of refresh the squad again.
Yeah.
And I think that's it's always been the issue with Palace. So there's times they look bright, and then there's times we wonder, relegation form. And yeah, they've run out of steam. I think Robert Glasner, I do feel sorry because I don't think he's that. I know the season looks bad on him. I don't think they're that bad, but I think the injuries and the inconsistency in that squad it's just killed him. So I think he's at the point where he doesn't know what to do with the players he has because they're just not of the required quality. And I do fear because I think there's going to come a time where they're going to go down. They can't keep doing what they do. They don't invest properly when it comes to players at that club. Yeah. I know Parish is there, but I think he needs to move on and find new owners because he doesn't seem to know how to move the club forward. It doesn't matter what manager they bring in. I always look at their transfer business, and honestly, it's always so poor. It is always so poor.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we took
I'll say this one quickly, Kojo. One of the biggest robberies was us selling them Eddie and Ketia. I can't remember how much we even sold it.
I've got it here right now. It was it's about 30 million, to be fair. Yeah. Well, see, this. So you spoke on the transfer business, and this is where I was thinking as well, because obviously Elise was a huge loss, but he's a young talent that they expected to lose for a big amount of money. So Sam Johnston. Now I know he wasn't this. At times he actually played some games. Sold him to Wolves. Sam Johnston sold him to Wolves. Riedewald didn't play that many games, but he was a good sort of off the bench, shore things up when you're in the lead type player for them. They loaned out Odsonne Edouard to Leicester.
Oh yeah, they did.
And they sold Joachim Anderson to Fulham. And in that, they've brought in who have they signed? So Matt Turner on loan from Forest. Chalobah from Chelsea on loan. I have not seen much of him, so I don't know if he's unfit or they hasn't fit into the team. Kamada from Lazio on a free. He worked under Glasner in Germany. Was it Germany? Was it Salzburg or was it in Germany? I think it was Salzburg. He was all right for him there, but it's not worked out in the Premier League so far. But he did score his first. Sorry, I must say he scored his first goal. No, wrong. Funny story. I saw his name pop up on my notifications for FPO, and I thought, after all this time, you finally got your goal. And I turned on, he got a red card. Chadi Riyad from Real Betis. I'll be honest.
No.
If there's any player you sign from Real Betis, I'm going to be very honest, it's not him. Ismail Assar from Marseille. Haven't seen him. Maxence Lacroix. He came off the bench recently, if I remember correctly. So there seems like there's a reluctance to start him here and there. And of course, your boy, Uncle Eddie, who I think anyone realizes you've got like the perfect mix up front of Eze, who's a dribbler, can cut inside. Elise can also do the same thing, but he's also he's good at set pieces with his free kicks and these corners. And then you've got the height, the power, decent speed of Mateta, who found some form towards the end of the season. That balance is gone because they've so far put Nketiah as a number 10 and the number 9, and they don't know what to do with him.
I was literally about to say, but I don't know what the heck they're doing with Nketiah, because I'm watching him and he's trying to be, as I said, a creator. He's trying to drop back and play the Dennis Bergkamp role, which has never been his game and he's never been great at. Like, even if you're playing with Mateta, will be great because all you have to do is just play off the shoulder of the last man and allow Mateta to kind of do the dirty work in and around there because he's physical. But and I don't know whether that's the manager or whether that's an Nketiah thing. It's hard to say. It looks like it's a manager thing because it seems to be consistent across a number of games. But I can't understand why they'll spend that amount of money on him and use him in that way because it's never been one of his strengths. Like I said, I don't rate Nketiah anyway. But at least you want him, like I said, off the last man and closer to goal. So, yeah, I mean, Palace will be in a relegation battle, but I think they'll survive because I think there's a number of teams who are far worse than they are. But at the moment, it's not looking good, and I think they will sack the manager at some point. I'm giving him, we're in November, I'm giving him 2 months maximum. If these results don't pick up, I think he'll be sacked. And Palace will do what they do again and look for someone else. As long as they don't bring back Hodgson, then
yeah, please let him rest. I'm begging, please.
Honestly, the man, he needs to rest.
And honestly, I'm going to make a plea right now to his family. If he tells you that he's considering the job, you need to go to his house and you need to beg him to let it go.
Please.
Yeah, all of it, man. Sell his car. Tell public transport that he can't get on the bus or the train. Just stop it. It's enough. Oh, this is genuinely out of respect. Rest, my guy, please. You had health issues last year as well. Please, just let it go. It's all right. You had a great career as well. So, yeah, Palace still continue their issues. Fulham doing well. One of your old boys in El Sofro scoring a goal, of course. And Harry Wilson apparently is finding good luck and good fortune right now. Scored another goal this weekend. Had one disallowed, so it could have been 3-0, but ended at 2. West Ham and Everton absolutely bored the place out of the whole of East London. So an absolute ball draw. I'm going to say absolutely nothing about this game. Wolves...
Lopetegui's got 3-4 games before they get rid of him.
Honestly, I was going to ask you, that's what I was going to ask you a question. Who goes first, him or Glasner at this point? Who do you think?
That's a tough one. But I think Lopetegui, because I think there's more pressure from the fans.
Fair.
I think I don't hear many Palace fans screaming for Glasner to go. I think they can't understand the whole situation that the squad isn't that great.
Yeah.
West Ham fans, because I think when they look, it's like, well, we've got rid of them. What more is we've invested a lot of money in the playing squad. And it's bad enough like the results ain't coming, but the football is diabolical. And the tactics is just as bad. So I think they look at all of that and they're screaming for that man to be removed from the club. So that's something. And the fact that Everton was like a good opportunity for you to get 3 points because it's Everton and you walked away with a 0-0 draw.
Yeah. Okay, so Lopetegui is going to be first to go for you. Okay, we're going to bear that in mind. I'm going to bring you another name later because we're going to discuss him. Believe me, I think you know what I'm talking about, but we'll get there. Wolves 2, Southampton 0. Wolves finally got a win on the board after a bit of wretched form. Decent win for them. Southampton will continue their form of just, even if they score, they're going to always concede. So nothing to talk about there. Brighton 2, Man City 1. Now, we will praise Brighton, but before we praise Brighton, City have lost 4 games in a row. In all competitions. That's not just in the league, it's all competitions. May I just bear in mind, as much as I want him out of my life, Ten Hag never did that. So maybe he's not the worst bowled in Manchester. But anyway, Basil, what is going on with City?
I think they're just... I'm saying they're tired. I'm not saying tired fatigue-wise. I just think they can't be bothered this season. I think...
Really?
No, honestly, I think what it is that they've just come to that cycle where there's no... I think the motivation's gone from everybody, from the manager, from the players. I mean, they can still pick it up, but I don't think the desire is there as in previous seasons. I think... And this is what happens. When you get bored, when you win things, but then it's not in the most exciting manner, you kind of get bored. And I think that's it. I think they're just tired of the same old, because even the style of football, honestly, I don't even watch City live. Like, I tuned into this match in the second half because I was in and out of the first half.
All right.
Because it was just so boring. Because it's so boring I've never I'll say for the last maybe 2-3 years, I haven't found City football entertaining because it's death by a thousand passes. And same when they took the lead, it's just pass, pass, pass. There's no flair. Even the flair players they have don't show flair. Grealish doesn't show anything. Savinho doesn't really show anything. The only person who did was Mahrez at the time, but even you can see even he was shuffled a bit. Bernardo Silva doesn't do anything anymore. So I just think they've got to the stage where Pep just can't be asked. I think Pep is just jaded. And I think the players are just have no desire, motivation because we've won so much. They've won the league for the past, 4 years running. And the football's just torrid. So I think they don't even, I think they need a new manager desperately. Someone who's just going to refresh things and bring like a new style, new level of excitement. Because you can kind of sit in clubs like Chelsea and Liverpool where you kind of say, oh, the players are motivated again. It's a different style. And I think City kind of need that. And I think that's the reason why we're seeing what we're seeing from the players. Because ultimately there is no excuse. I mean, they have a large squad. People can say what they want, but they spend a lot of money on building a squad. So when players are injured, they should be able to cope with these games. But I just think the motivation isn't there. And secondly, defensively, they've been all over the place all season. Like some of the victories that they've had, people forget they've been lucky to win certain matches because certain teams have not taken their chances against City, but they've been very easy to carve open defensively. And so at some point, it's going to bite you in the bum, which is why when we had the predictions, I said I think we're going to lose 2-1 because City are, for me, are not that defensively stable. I knew City will score because I couldn't see Brighton keeping a clean sheet. Yeah. But defensively, they will give Brighton a number of opportunities.
No, you did actually call it. And I didn't want to say in the group chat because I was like, damn, Basil's right. But when I saw the lineup and I saw Simpson, Poussey and Walker as a centre-back, and I saw Kanje and Ake on the bench.
I can't believe it. When I saw them on the bench, I was like, what?
What's he doing? Yeah, what are you playing at? Because this is not a team that's, not in form. It's not like a European fixture. Yeah. Where you maybe after 8 games, you won 7 out of 8, so you can rest your guys for that 8th game and not worry too much about the result because you're in that top 8 for sure. There's no excuse to go against a Brighton team that's in good form. Welbeck's in good form. João Pedro's always an issue when he's back into fitness. The whole team as a whole is finding a good level of form, and you've gone there and you've played a inexperienced young defender at this level, and Kyle Walker at centre-back. Now, I know Kyle Walker's done it for England, but he's done it in the 3, not in the 2. You've got 2 of your centre-backs very, very much fit there. Hell, I would even forgive him. If he went to start Simpson, I'd forgive him if he put Simpson left back and Vardiol back to his centre-back role of old just because just for that safety reason. But for some reason, he decided to go for that. And that for me, when I saw that, I thought, okay, yeah, they actually might not win this game. I think Basil's spot on. But Brighton, their first half was terrible. Their second half was fantastic. So I want to give praise to Belieber because that young boy is looking like one hell of a talent. Are you impressed by him? It
depends on how they use him. I mean, once again, I liked him. I liked his energy. I think he's good for Brighton. I just hope people don't get carried away with this whole, the way Brighton bring these young players and kind of turn them into something. Because I've always said with Brighton, sometimes they buy the players and they're very good for Brighton.
Yeah.
And people kind of go overboard and think, oh, we need to bring him to a big club. And then obviously kind of surprised when they don't kind of hit the heights. Because sometimes I feel players are suited to a club who gives them an opportunity. That doesn't mean they're there yet. And I think we've seen it with Salcedo. So he's still a developing player, but he's not what people said he was, in my opinion. Like there's room and scope for growth. But then when people were bringing him, they was thinking he was like when the next second coming. And you can still see he's still developing and learning that he isn't there yet as what people thought. Same as when we went there and purchased Ben White, and we spent 50. Like I think Ben White's a good player, but he wasn't what Brighton sold him to be. So I liked him and he definitely changed the game. I think they needed that energy in midfield. Yeah. They needed someone who was going to harass people and needed someone who's going to keep it tidy and clean in that game. And obviously you can see for the second goal how, he gets the ball back and then makes that good pass to who did he play it to? João Pedro. I think he passed it through two City players, and it went to João Pedro. So there is quality, but I'll say people should take their time with him. But obviously, you can see how he made such a huge impact when he came on. And yeah, I'm praise to him. Definitely. I'm praise to the manager for, not just being reactive, but saying, I need to be proactive and change things. What we're doing isn't working. We kind of need something different.
Absolutely, absolutely, and yeah, that's one refreshing aspect as well. And again, I'm gonna have to eat my words because at the beginning of the season on this very podcast, I said I didn't write him off completely, but I was just like, okay, you've signed a very young manager and you're signing very young players. This is a risk. This is a big gamble, and also the biggest issue for me was he hadn't managed at the top, in the top division of any league or any country in any top league. So I was a bit like, for the Premier League, that's a big leap. It's a big jump. There's a lot of pressure, different pressures, but he's taken to it, and he's playing fantastic football with Brighton.
Because exactly the same. So obviously, when he came in, I'm just like unknown. I didn't know anything about him, but then I feel like it was kind of a gimmick signing personally, like because all of these guys want to bring through all these young managers. So I thought it was kind of following the trend of, obviously we know Brighton do their due diligence anyway, but same as you, I thought it was a risk, and I thought maybe it was them trying to just bring in another young manager to say we have this young manager, it's going to be the future and everything. But credit to him, he's come in. He's adapted well, got a lot of key victories under his belt. And yeah, I think Brighton will finish in the top half of the league this season, personally.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another team struggling to finish in the top half was Manchester United. 1-3-0. I did say before the show that we'll do this last, but let's get out of the way now because I know you want to laugh at a certain club. Let that lead giggles till last. But Man United 1-3-0. So their issue was finding the back of the net whilst Ten Hag was there. Poor start to the season, but created the most chances during his time in this season anyway. But as soon as he's gone, Man United found in the back of the net, and they found 3 goals, 2 from Bruno Fernandes, and the other one. Who was the other one again? Gosh, I forgot. Garnacho, yes, with the finesse outside from that, just on the edge of the box into the top corner. Someone that's been scrutinized. You know what? Yes, I need to ask your opinion on this. Now, I know who the fan was. Who, I say fan, who gave him a little bit of maybe a little constructive criticism, if you want to put it that way, before the European game. So that video circulated everywhere. I'm pretty sure you saw it. What's your opinion on that? Because he didn't. So I know who it is. I don't know the person personally. I've seen him on streams. I have my opinion on him. I'm not gonna, verbalize it. I don't need to trash talk anybody or do whatever. There's no need for that. But me personally, I didn't appreciate it. I can explain myself why later. But what did you think?
It's funny. See, fans can say what they want. I personally like. There's a lot of Arsenal players personally I don't like from watching from perspective. But if I see an Arsenal player, I'd always be very respectful to them. Would want to take a picture. Would want their autographs, because at the end of the day, you're still playing for my club, and I want you to do well. I may come on the platforms and criticize, which is fine because it's me verbalizing my opinion on what I've assessed. But in person, I personally wouldn't do it. Like, even if you've had a shocker of a game, I wouldn't insult. I kind of just hold my breath, kind of see you, take the autograph and everything, and just let you go. I've never understood fans who, when they see players face to face, kind of insult them, or even like giving that kind of constructive criticism. For instance, I'm not a Martinelli fan. If I saw Martinelli, I wouldn't be telling him, mate, you need to work on your dribbling. Yeah. You need to throw in better balls, because it doesn't. I don't know. It's weird for me. I can say on the platforms if you ask me my analysis of him, but face to face, I've never understood. Especially if you've gone to watch him at the stadium, I've never understood fans who travel. They want to support their team. Maybe you haven't had the result you want, or you have had the result you want, and then use the opportunity to then kind of criticize players in a way face to face. I've never got that. I personally wouldn't do it. I didn't have in fairness, personally, I didn't have a problem with the video, to be honest, because I'm like, it is what it is. You have some people who verbalize that, and then
Yeah.
so I didn't feel any way about it. I know there's a lot of Man U fans are not happy about it. Maybe it's because I'm not a United supporter, so I didn't really get too much about it. So yeah, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so I didn't like it. I'm not going to go as far as like Trey Deeney on TalkSport and say, you've never kicked a ball in your life, so how dare you tell a player what to do? It's not that. It's not like it's not like that. But I had two issues with it. One, you've clearly recorded it because you want to drop that as content for whatever purpose that is. I don't agree with that. I've been doing podcasts for a long time. You've done podcasts for a long time. Many people are part of the social media game one way or another. They've done content one way or another. But me personally, I do it just because I just want to talk ball. I don't desire to meet a player and first thing I tell him is, you must pass the ball better. You must do this. You must do that, because I'm not there for that. I'm there to support you and say, good luck and all that stuff. And maybe I would prefer him to have said, tough game last time. You'll smash it today, man. Go for it. Maybe something like that. I don't know. Maybe that's me.
I think that's what you said, Kojo. I think it's the fact that he was recording it for me. Because if he had said it and someone was recording it, I think it's okay. But I think it's the fact that he was recording himself giving that level of advice. I don't even know what to call it. But because it really wasn't advice, it was like, I'm trying to get something out of you. It was kind of, I don't know. It was an insulting advice. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
That recorded it and then put it online. You know what you were saying it for, which is why I agree with you in terms of, no, because you're there to support your club and your players. But you're there trying to use your play that you're supposed to be supported in a negative way to boost yourself online. And that for me is wrong. I would never do it.
Exactly. And, he has been criticized loudly by many. It's because it's gone everywhere. So I won't pile up on that. But at the same time, what people who are even this big in the social media game or sports game or whatever, we need to realize is once you do something like that, the noise that you're going to get is going to be heavy, because you didn't criticize any player. You've criticized a player that plays for a big team, a player that's a young player that's a huge part of that team as well. You know what you're doing, kind of thing. And me personally, I just don't live for that. I don't like it. So that was my main reason. And number two, what I was going to say is, as a fan, or maybe more as an older fan, maybe it's just a teacher in me, but I feel like you should exude better behavior around younger people as well.
Like, he is a younger player. Like I said, I don't really rate Garnacho that highly, but at the same time, he is 20 years old? I think he is.
He is 20, yeah.
He's still learning, he's still going to make mistakes, and you have to give him room to grow. Like, I don't rate him right now. Maybe in the next year or two could prove me wrong and really kick on in ways that maybe I can't see. Like I said, he's still young and he has time to learn a lot, has time to develop. So yeah, don't criticize the young 20-year-old. I can understand more if he's like someone who's Rashford, who's 27. So it's like, if you should know better by now because you've been playing football for like 10 years now. So there's no excuse. But someone like, as you said, Garnacho, it's a young player. Like, give them time to grow and develop.
Exactly that. Well, yeah, they're a comfortable 3-0 win. Ruben Amorim is the new manager of Manchester United. With Van Nistelrooy, had 4 games, 3 wins, 1 draw. Scored a lot of goals, conceded, I think, 3 or 4 goals. No, 3 goals within that time period, so not a bad return. My 2 cents at Ruben Amorim. So those of you who know me, I have been shouting this guy's name since lockdown. So I am just delighted that I've got the manager that I've desired for a long time. More so because I've not yet had a manager, or a young manager, I should say, rather, a young manager that has caught my attention at that. And I've kept an eye on them for a period of time. Ruben Amorim is the only person that I did that for. Maybe because I was younger at the time, I didn't have the I guess the nous to go and look out someone like Villas-Boas, because when Villas-Boas came onto the scene, he was the new hot thing. Won the Europa League with Porto. People were talking about another Portuguese guy. Porto, you know what comes next. The comparisons. Goes to Chelsea, they're thinking he's going to be the next big thing, just like the fellow Portuguese man. Things like that. And some people are really trying to just draw similarities with Amorim and Mourinho. Like even they posted 2 pictures when Mourinho had camera people around him, like every top manager does, taking photos of him. And they did the same thing with one for Amorim. I think he had that scenario when he was announced as United manager, but went to his next Sporting Lisbon game. Sporting FC game, not Sporting Lisbon. They don't like when you call it Sporting Lisbon. But I'm excited. I'll tell you why I'm excited. He's not a plan A only manager. He's got a plan A, plan B, plan C. He has adapted to very tough situations in 2 different clubs. I understand the level is definitely different. Absolutely. But for anyone that was aware of what's happening at Sporting when he joined, they had fans rioting. Players refused to play for the club anymore and terminated their own contracts. They were in a state where Sporting were in complete and utter disarray. There was a mess upstairs. The fans not only rioting on a pitch, they would find players' houses, and it was just a mess. He somehow came in, worked with the club to calm things down, and got results on the pitch. First league season, full league season for them, won the title. Followed that with 2 seasons where he won domestic trophies, and then or domestic cups, I should say, since the league is a domestic trophy, and then won the league title in his final year, which is last season, before he obviously left, but almost, I guess, a third through this season to join Sporting. He's a top manager, in my opinion. He's a manager who, apart from the plan A and plan B things, he is very aware of the errors that he makes. The year when they won the league, he did not think that teams would come for Ugarte, that they come for Palhinha, that they come for Nuno Mendes and all these guys that he helped develop. And he very much admitted, he said in a press conference years ago at that time that that summer, for him was a failure because he didn't prepare for that, sort of inevitability. He thought, I can keep these players here, and he couldn't. And because of that, they went from first to third. Yeah. But he rectified that the next summer, got them back in a good position. He finished second, and then last year finished first. So I have full confidence in him. I'm going to, put myself out there. It's the only manager that I've really, really, really wanted as a young manager. If it falls apart, I know I'm going to be the first to get ripped as well, because the tweets are all there as well. But I'm excited by his arrival. Are you impressed by Amorim? Do you think he can do something at United?
I'm always
your opinion?
Yeah, I'm always one of those people, like I said, I don't know too much about him. I'm not one of those people where if I don't know, I'll then say I do, or I'll just watch. And because of those things say I do, I've always been honest. I personally don't know much. I know about his record and there's some about him, but I don't really know much just because, in fairness, Portuguese football is not one of those leagues that I do watch a lot of. And obviously, a lot of people will probably, as English pundits will do, will watch the Champions League match against City and think, oh, yeah, but I'm like, I can't really judge on one game. As I said, you need a period of time so you can understand his tactics, understand his behaviors, how he works with the squad, how he motivates with the squad, how his in-game management is like. So for me, it's the unknown. And for me, that's probably more exciting for me because then I get to see what he's like without any kind of biases or any opinions, because then I can kind of form my decisions on him. He seems well spoken. It's interesting because I guess the talk with him is the formation he's going to play, which I always find very strange, to be honest. Like a lot of if you listen to TalkSport or even on Sky Sports, they're all fascinated by the formation. I'm like, it doesn't really matter the formation you play. There is a three at the back, there is four at the back. It's how you get the players played. Yeah. The biggest thing with United is they haven't had a style of play for a very long time. I'd even say the last time they did was probably Mourinho, where we kind of knew how they were looking to set the super. Because even with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I wouldn't even say United had a defined style of play.
Agreed.
And when Hart came, I guess for the first few months, you saw what he was trying to do, and then he abandoned it very quickly, and you didn't see an identified style. So the first thing I see is like, can you come in, understand the players you're working with, and get them to understand your instructions and your style of play. So people are focused on the formation. For me, I'm like, the formation itself is irrelevant. It's can he work with these players, get his ideas over to them, across to them quickly. And can we see an identified and changed style on the pitch? So that's the first thing he needs to figure out first. Then once you kind of got that, you can start to tweak your formations and start to understand who your best players are. So I don't know. Like I say, for United fans, you have to be, I guess you can only be excited because it's been very dark days. Forget the trophies you've won. I guess from a football perspective, I do not know how you guys have managed to watch football because it has not been even me as a non-United fan, I watch United, but I'm watching them because you give other teams opportunities. But I sit down, if I'm a United fan, I don't know how you guys watch this week in, week out, because honestly, it's horrible to watch. For every rival is a joy to watch, to be honest, because it's so chaotic. But honestly, hopefully, the thing is, I would like United competing. Like, it's all well and good, like making fun of United, but I do enjoy it when United are competing, because then you kind of compete and then fail, because it's more enjoyable kind of watching, having one over your rivals. I don't want to be seeing Manchester United, as much as it does bring me joy, but I really don't want to be seeing them lingering 11th, 12th, 13th around it.
Yeah.
Around that. It's not, I want a competitive match where we have the big boys up there, because it's a lot of fun when okay, cool, we're going neck and neck with each other and it's quite tight up there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I miss it. I can't lie that I absolutely miss it. To answer your question about how do we watch it, it's habit, man. You get used to it. It's like everyone at Christmas at 8 p.m. for EastEnders. No one watches it for the year, but then they're like, oh, you know what happened? And someone tell you on Twitter in a 5-minute breakdown, you're like, yeah, let me watch it quick, and then you get on with your life, man. It's just one of them ones. But look, I'm hoping United fans don't buy into what the media are doing about this formation and highlighting it and making it sound like it's going to be revolutionary, because even Conte with his 3-5-2, that wasn't a revolutionary system. He's done it before. Many managers have played 3-5-2. 3-4-3 is not new to the world of football, but he's not married to the 3-4-3. He found the 3-4-3 useful and the formation that worked once he had his players and built his squad at Sporting. But he has played different formations that have a 3 or a 4 at the back. So we shall see. Interesting times. Now, should we discuss the big game, or do you want to have a laugh at your neighbours?
What do I want to do? Now, let's have a laugh at the neighbours.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, Basil is an Arsenal fan, and his neighbours are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who lost at home 2-1 to Ipswich Town. I did not see this score coming, honestly. At all. As much as I'm not a fan of Tottenham, I sat down and thought, I don't put Dominic Solanke as my fantasy football captain. That's how confident. Instead of putting Salah. That's how, honestly, never again. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson. Couldn't believe it. Oh, wow.
See, imagine, Kojo. As an Arsenal fan, that's how confident I was Tottenham were going to win that game.
You put your faith in a Spurs player. I can't believe this.
Oh, I've learned, honestly, never again. I've learned my lesson. Honestly, that's how confident I was Tottenham were going to win. So wow. I was out and I literally just I saw they were 2-0 down. I was like, huh? It's like, how can it be 2-0 down? Then I saw 2-1. Then I saw the full score 2-1. I was like, I need to watch this match when I get back home just to see how bad. And Tottenham, honestly, they're just a diabolical team. Yeah. I've never seen a bunch of players and a club where they're just mentally weak. From management to coaching to players, it will never change at that club. Never change. And the worst thing is that their fans have the cheek to think they can have the discussions with the big boys who actually win things. Like, they think they can talk to United, Arsenal, Liverpool. They think they have the cheek. They have the cheek. When they've only won one League Cup in the last, I can't remember, even before that League Cup, I can't remember the last time they even won a trophy.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, who was the manager that they had? It was a Spanish manager, Juan de Ramos. That's when they won the League Cup. But since,
Yes,
even
yes.
before that, I can't remember the last time they won a trophy. But yeah, they will
Right.
talk and they will talk and they will talk. And then they go up against Ipswich at home. I can kind of forgive them if it was away from home. But at home and lose
Yeah.
2 to Ipswich, that team is outrageous, honestly. And the funny thing is, in all seriousness, like that club, they just need new owners because they show. I complain about Arsenal and their lack of ambition in the transfer market. The only team that trumps them is Tottenham. They do not seem serious about moving the club forward, making the adequate signings that will really help them to push to challenge.
Yeah.
And then a manager in Ange, for me, he's not built to manage a big club. For me, he's just not flexible enough. It's the same tactics when the match, he doesn't seem to he doesn't adapt well in games. For me, his in-game management for me is very, very poor. And yeah, it's a combination of both. And I think come the end of the season, Andrew will be gone, personally. I don't think they'll sack him during the season. I think come the end of the season, I think they'll get rid of him too.
So Lopetegui is still first then, yeah?
Lopetegui is definitely still first. So.
Honestly, I'm baffled by Tottenham. I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know. They've built many different teams. It's like they've had periods where they should really kick on, and there's something that's blocking them. Finishing third and then second on the Pochettino, and obviously it depends on how strong the opponents are. But naturally, you'd think that they want to go first. The whole club as a whole wants to go first, and the manager's telling you, look, the furniture just needs to be changed a little bit, not a dramatic change to the team, just add some new pieces. And he wasn't backed, and they crumbled that season. It was the Champions League final, but they crumbled. And from there, it's just been poor.
And the funny thing, that whole squad for me needs a revamp because what it's shown to me is that I'll say the majority of the players are just not good enough. I like Vicara. I think Vicara is a good goalkeeper, a good shot stopper, but he needs to really work on his I've forgotten the word, like his command, of the area. He really needs to work on that. I think as a goalkeeper, he needs to work on that. I think Porro is not good enough. I think defensively, he always found wanting. He's one of the players that wants to get up the pitch, but doesn't want to do the job behind him.
Yeah.
I've never rated Romero. I think Tottenham fans are the only people that rate Romero because I think Romero just lacks discipline. He's never been consistent. There's games he does well, and then there's games where he's just out of sorts. Regarding,
can I make a point about him? Because he's baffled me. So when he was signed by Tottenham, I was fuming because I was a fan of his. But he wasn't this aggressive, nor was he this. Maybe it's the difference in league. So maybe I need to take that into account as well. But he wasn't as
rash.
He wasn't as rash. He wasn't as complacent. I don't know if it's an instruction-based thing. I don't know if he's doing his own thing. I don't know if this is just his real form. But he's a concern. But the biggest concern, again, for Tottenham is they seem to be lost when Van der Ven is gone because he was injured for this game. And it seems like every time they lose game, or most of the times when they lose game, when he's not there, they just don't know how to defend. But that could be because they've got a stupid high line at times and he's the one with the pace. But I don't know. I don't know if Romero. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know what's going on with him.
Just getting baffling. Since he joined Tottenham, I've never rated him because he always has the mistake in him. And I've always said, like, for me, when I rate defenders, I always look at, can I rely on you for it? Like, every defender's going to make a mistake, but there's some which are self-inflicted. And I look at, can I rely on you for the majority of the season? Do you have a calmness about you, which are things which Romero doesn't have? He can't be relied on throughout the whole season because, he's going to do a reckless challenge, a needless one. He's going to make a mistake. He lacks calmness. So for me, they need to replace him. Dragic Singh has come in, hasn't looked great, but in fairness to him, he's been in and out of the squad, so you can't really develop a rhythm. So I know a few Tottenham fans got onto him, but I'm like, well, it's unfair for a guy who's come in and hasn't really played that many consecutive games. I like you, Doggy, but also needs to improve his consistency.
Yep.
Madison seems out of sorts. Sarr seems to be in and out the squad. I don't understand that. What's his name? Bentancur, since he's come back from injury, has not looked impressive whatsoever. Kulusevski, for me, and the funny thing, I used to rate him a lot when he was in Italy, but since he's come to Tottenham, he's been so inconsistent. It's just unbelievable.
He started well as well, didn't he?
And he has like games where he's not effective. Son, for me, he's reaching that stage where age is catching up with him. I mean, it still has qualities, but it's just, once again, not consistent and not the player he used to be. Brennan Johnson, he's okay. I think he's a good squad player. Like, I'm not mad at him. I think he started off very slowly. He's improved. And then Solanke just has not found his feet at that club whatsoever. So but yeah, they don't really have a squad. Tottenham are a weird team. They just need new ownership who's just going to come in, identify who is not good enough, shift them on, and obviously bring in a completely new squad. Not quickly, but over fades of maybe 2-3 years, the way kind of Arsenal have done.
And that's a fair assessment. Before we move on, praise Ipswich as well, because they were good, really, really good. And they've had a couple of games now where they have been creating chances, but been able to put the dinner away. But now they found the chances. A really good head kick from Smodics, and Liam Delap just continues to perform this season. So I'm happy for them. Happy for Kieran McKenna. Yeah. Chelsea won. Arsenal won. So, you know what I'm going to ask you?
Long to me.
Arteta. Okay, no. You saw the lineup, you saw the game, you saw how you guys approached the game. Probably should have won it towards the end of the game if Trossard didn't fluff his lines. 1, was the result a correct result? Or 2, were you happy with the result of the game itself? Not the result, you're never happy with the draw, but do you think there were factors to that? That's what led to the draw.
Yeah, I can explain the factors. I'll say this: I find Arteta deluded sometimes. Oh, what's that? Oh, Kojo still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I find Arteta deluded sometimes because at the end of the game, he talked about how Arsenal dominated and played well. And I thought to myself, were we watching the same game? Because I did not see Arsenal. I genuinely thought it was a 50-50 game. There was periods where Arsenal were on top, but there was periods where Chelsea were on top. I don't think it was the dominance that Arteta thinks it was. And if he does, and if he genuinely thinks that, then for me, it tells me that he's not the right man to lead this club. I think what that game showed is that we have a lack of quality in that team. And our style of play is one where it needs adapting, because I think we've been figured out. And I think even Chelsea, I think because it's the same where we're trying to play them, we're trying to point out wide and then hope for like crosses in the box or hope to engineer some. And Chelsea haven't been great defensively, but because we're so static in the way we play, it's always the same, goes that wide. Whereas when you look at teams that have hurt Chelsea in the last few weeks, there's always been runners in behind the defenders and they've been able to play balls in behind Chelsea.
Yeah.
We don't have people running in behind the Chelsea defense. So when everything is in front of them, very easy for Chelsea to defend against, or very easy for teams to defend against Arsenal. So I generally don't think we played that well. What people think is an improvement from people think when you improve from like games which you haven't played well, they generally say, oh, it was good, they played well. But I'm like, no, it's an improvement from what we've seen, because what we've seen wasn't great, but it still wasn't great. And then the goal I couldn't believe the goal, because Neto had so much space. He had the ball, passed, and then strolled in between the huge gap.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that there was no one there to close him down. No one. Yep. And the thing, it's not as if he appeared there. You saw him run there. So I was thinking, at what point does it register for either Havertz or I think it was Havertz and Martinelli?
Yeah.
Actually decide I'm going to close him down. And then obviously he has a free shot and they're all shouting at each other. And I'm just like, well, which one of you are going to use common sense and initiative to realize there's a huge gap there, close the gap and stop him from shooting?
Yeah.
And in fairness, I'll say this. The goal was nothing more than Chelsea deserved, if I'm being brutally honest. I think a draw was actually a fair result for both teams. But then it shows me that Arsenal are not ready to win the league because considering how many points they were behind, this was a must-win game. And for me, it's terrible. And I'll say this final point, right? We were trying to win that game with the same squad as we had last season. Think about I think it was more or less the same team as like last season, the start of the game.
Yeah.
And look how we're bringing off the bench to try and save the day. Jesus and Trossard. It's the same as last season. You're trying to deploy the same things as last season. Look at Chelsea. You can see they have a refresh in their squad. We're still playing this game with the same players that we had last season.
Yes.
Making the exact same substitutions as last season. What were we expecting?
Well, yeah, that's the question for Arteta, and he's not even going to be there anymore. But I do, because you signed Mourinho to improve the midfield, and I will continue to sustain that. I am a big fan of his, and I'm annoyed that he's playing for your club. But I also believe now he's being misprofiled, and it's starting to annoy me because similar to how Ugarte is being treated at United by United fans, there's an idea of what they think he should or can do, and not actually what he should be doing. And, they're getting onto his head neck already. Some people don't want to rate him highly. Trust me, he's a good midfielder, but that's just my opinion. Number two, I think the lineup is the best lineup you can come up with, but now you've got an issue where... So Declan Rice is injured, apparently with a broken toe, so that's a problem. Odegaard, I understand the reason to play him so quickly because you haven't got a proper creative outlet in the midfield apart from him. But also you're running a risk when you play a player like him that's just come out from a long-term injury because you just never know what's going to happen. He's strong for the internationals, that could be to rest, and that's fine. But you need to hope that he doesn't have any setbacks because otherwise, who knows? The rest of the team, I think I agree with you. I think it's becoming complacent. Because I was watching the centre backs in particular. Now, obviously, I know Saliba and Gabriel were the best sort of pairing last season, most clean sheets, so on and so forth. But they seem very disjointed this season so far in terms of how they work as a pair. You're starting to see less of this and more of this. You're starting to see them try to contribute to attacks a lot more instead of just guiding the ball out to the midfielders, which is a very weird, I'd say, place for them to be in. They shouldn't be in that area no matter what kind of ideas are being put forward by either the players or the manager. The over-reliance again on Saka, there is an over-reliance on Saka. And you have a left side issue because obviously we spoke about this. Sterling doesn't seem to be fit, right? So that's a left midfielder or left winger, if you want, that you sign that's not going to be paying or not to be going to rather be available as much as you want him to be. And Trossard and Martinelli are very inconsistent, especially Martinelli. I just don't know what happened to him because he looked very promising. So I guess the question for you now is, what's next? Okay, actually, I'll put it to you like this because I've never asked you this question this season. What would be enough for you for Arteta to be the manager next season?
Unfortunately, because, and also I'm only saying this because of how long he's been there.
Okay.
He has to win something. Do you know, because the funny thing is most Arsenal fans would just say it has to be a league or a Champions League, right? I'm just at the point like, no, he just has to win something, whether it's a League Cup or an FA Cup, right? And the reason why I'm saying that, because at least then something tangible has come from the squad building.
Right.
Most fans, they want either a league or a Champions League. But no. As long as he wins something, then he can say we're building towards something. Because then it's like 6 years, at least I've won something.
Yeah.
The boys' confidence, and then we can go again. He just needs to win something just for me to have an extra season at the club. And then for me, if he does win something, let's say an FA Cup or League Cup, then for me next season, he has to either win a league or a Champions League. And I'll say this, right? Because I remember last time we had a discussion with Cahill, right? And I brought this up, right? Because obviously I said if Arne Slot wins a league title ahead of Arteta's first season, it looks damning on it looks damning on Arteta. Right. And not mentioned, but he's like, oh, but they still have the same players, Salah, Trent, Van Dijk, and so on. But then I thought about it and I'm thinking, no, that's even more damning because Liverpool haven't strengthened, and the only player that they strengthened is injured. he's injured, Chiesa. So what I'm saying, well, if someone's able to come in and take the squad where Arsenal finished above in the last 2 seasons and then make them champions, that's more damning on Arteta. Because Arteta has his squad. He's been able to build on his squad and go in his transfer market. Slot's come in and hasn't been able to really have any signings or anybody that he wants. And obviously, then he's taken the same squad, which have finished behind Arsenal in the last 2 seasons, and then become champion. That is extremely damning on Arteta because the guy's been able to come in with the same group of players, which are Arnie's players, win a league where Arteta's been trying to do this for the past 5-6 seasons. I said that's even more damning. The fact that he's taken players with the same crop of players that Arsenal have finished above in the last 2 seasons. That's more damning, to be honest. So for me, like, personally, I'm not as harsh as Arsenal. I think he just needs to win something. So at least then we can say something has come out of this squad you're building. If he doesn't win anything this season, unfortunately, he has to go. He has to go.
Yeah.
He has to.
Okay, well, I won't ask you the question of who just yet because I think we'll have to wait till next season to line up candidates. He definitely won't be gone during the season, but it's an interesting discussion just because I guess it's got to a stage where obviously he's helped rebuild the team and got them to a very good level. They are a good level. Arsenal are a very good level. They've been so in the last 2 or 3 years with their form, hardly losing games, hardly drawing games, getting lots of wins under the belt. But I guess what you're alluding to is that's the pressure, isn't it? I mean, I would argue, and I'm sure you agree with me, is unfortunately for you, even though City and Liverpool are better, if you do want to win the title, those are the challenges you have to overcome. Rather, that's just what you have to do.
Is he succeeded? And obviously, we can't say. And what people forget is this: one, Liverpool won a league against City, so it can be done. Secondly, in the last 2 seasons, it's not as if City have been that incredible. They've scraped the league titles. They've scraped it. It's not, like I said, people think they can understand if they dominated last season and you say, oh, it's kind of, they've scraped the league titles. They had to win on the last day last season. They've had to, I mean, we kind of handed it to them the season beforehand. Even in previous seasons where Liverpool have challenged them, there was a time they went to the last day of the season and had to win it in the Liverpool. So it's not as if like City are that far away from everybody where they're just, obviously there's seasons where, yes, obviously the points gap is quite a bit. But obviously, like I said, out of those seasons, there's about 3 or 4 where it's been tight, extremely tight. So it can be done. So when people go on like City are this invincible entity, they're not. It's always been by fine margins. It's been by fine margins. A few times.
Well, maybe a certain bold guy that's no longer in Manchester had a point when he said errors do come to an end. Maybe I think he just didn't realize that.
Well, he's definitely came to an end, so
yeah, exactly. His one came sooner than expected, honestly. I'm just intrigued by the situation at Arsenal because it's not even a bad situation to be in. You're still in the race for the top 4. To be honest, I didn't even realize this. With United winning, they're only, I think, 4 points off top 4, 5 points off third. So it's not as, as split into groups as people thought it was so early. But this is the beginning of the season, isn't it? Of course, the only team that's found a good amount of form that's been consistent enough to continue that form is Liverpool. So we shall see. But I'm intrigued by that. Any word on Chelsea? Kai Havertz scored, was disallowed. Then he was bleeding. He got a yellow card. What was the yellow card for? Okay, so vibes. Okay, all right. That's basically it then, because I was very baffled that a guy who fairly went for the ball and came out of it with a bloody head can be the one to be booked. But you know what? At least he wasn't David Coote, because that would have been another one on his cap, and he doesn't want to know. He doesn't want any more on him. But yeah,
Chelsea are in a transition mode, and you can kind of see this. I think Chelsea are where Chelsea need to be in terms of their building, and they've got out from the rut of the past few seasons where they haven't identified style of play. Maresca's influence that. Maresca has kind of a settled squad. I don't think he has his best starting 11, but I think he has a settled 12 or 13 who really wants to work in the first team, and then the rest you kind of have to prove yourself.
okay.
That's what it seems. So I think that's starting to work for them. I mean, like I said, defensively, they're still horrible, but from an attacking phase, they seem to be gelling together. I guess the biggest issue Chelsea are going to have is whether they can maintain that consistency for years to come, because they still have way too many players.
Too many.
And that will become a problem as time goes. And the issue, as I said, is the length of the contracts of these players is an issue. So shifting them won't be easy. But that's the main issue, because they can have a good season and finish top 4 this season. But the issue is, well, you're going to have to then deal with the squad dynamics of players who realize, oh, I'm not playing, or I want to be a first team regular. I'm not getting that opportunity. That can be disruptive within that environment. So, like I say, it may be rosy now because players are like, okay, it's exciting. But once everyone is settled, that that rosiness will quickly disappear, and you'll see how problematic. So Chelsea need to kind of figure out, I think, the owners as to what that squad looks like and who shouldn't be there and who they need to offload. They need to figure that out quickly, because they can't continue with a squad this large where they can have 2 squads, one playing in the league and one playing in the useless conference league. I think they're going to be able to manage that situation perfectly, because let's say someone mentioned it, is like, if players are playing well in the conference league, even though the competition isn't to a high standard, they're going to say, well, why can't I be given a chance in the league if I'm doing it in this competition? So, and that's become problematic.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I think you guys are right. I'm intrigued by Chelsea. I just want to see what will happen with them, simply because, again, I think just like a lot of people, I'm not truly convinced by them yet. But what you said about the squad is very interesting, because players like João Felix didn't play this weekend. You know what I mean? And you signed him for a lot of money as well. But
Nkunku can't get a start.
There you go. And he was sort of like one of the most wanted players for like 2 or 3 summers. So it's an intriguing situation.
Can't get a start now. Yeah. And they were, at the time, they were desperate.
So desperate. And I think they found out very quickly that they're actually better off without him in the midfield. But that's another discussion for another day. Before we wrap up, I am going to share my screen and show the Premier League table. If this would nicely give me I'm hosting, it's asking me if I want to give the ability to share it. Of course I want to share it. What are you talking about? Okay. Right. Here we go. So we will start at the bottom half. Southampton, of course, rock bottom. I did say at the beginning of the season that they might be breaking records that Derby need to lose. So keep an eye out for that one. Wolverhampton got their first win of the season, so they're on 6 points now. They're on 6 points. So they had less points than Southampton. So they were rock bottom before. That's horrendous. And Palace complete that bottom 4. Ipswich got their first win, so bottom 3 row. Ipswich got their first win, so they came out of the relegation zone. 8 points. Everton and Leicester, I'm just above them with West Ham next. Manchester United are still 13th. Bournemouth and Brentford, who just play Brentford with a big win, so they're unique above Bournemouth. Spurs have the second best goal difference in this league, but they are 10th.
Insane.
Absolutely ridiculous. And if I am reading correctly, they have the most goals scored in the league so far this season, but they are 10th. Doing a great job there, Ange. Fix it up, mate. Aston Villa 9th, Newcastle 8th, Fulham 7th. And in the Europa League spots are Brighton and Forest in 6th and 5th, respectively. And the top 4 is Arsenal, Chelsea, City, and top of the table, 5 points clear. 6 goals, only 6 goals conceded, actually. Yeah, Liverpool in a league of their own there so far. Doing pretty well. Fixtures, right. So you can still see my screen. Basil, Leicester, Chelsea. What are you saying?
I'm going Chelsea. I think Chelsea will win that game.
Okay, Chelsea. Arsenal first.
I think Arsenal, as much as Arsenal are playing well, I think, wow, gosh. See, initially, I was going to say I think Arsenal win, but considering Arsenal's form, I know this may go as a surprise. I think Arsenal are going to draw that match. I think it's going to be
Okay.
because I think Forest, these type of big games, I think Forest know how to play in kind of defend, because we know what Forest are going to do. They're going to be very defensive, very organized, and look to hit Arsenal on the counter because they have the players. And I think that will hurt Arsenal because I think two things. I think if Arsenal go behind, then they have to chase it. I think even if Arsenal take the lead, I think I can see Arsenal sitting back and Forest growing in confidence to attack Arsenal. And because we're not as defensively solid as we were last season, I can see us conceding under the pressure. So I think that match will be a draw, surprisingly.
Okay. Well, that's fair. That's fair. Absolutely. To be fair, they beat Liverpool 1-0 away from home. So, you know, they are a tough team so far this season. Oh, you know what? I just realized we didn't speak about the fact that Newcastle beat them 3-1 at the City ground. But yeah, that was an exact masterclass. 2 good goals from him as well. Aston Villa Palace.
That's an easy Villa win.
Villa win, no problem. Bournemouth Brighton.
I'm going draw.
Draw, okay. Everton Brentford.
I'm going Brentford. Brentford are going to win that game.
Okay. Yours, I feel like Everton are going to come and do something silly again. Typical Everton. Fulham Wolves.
I can see a Fulham victory there. I don't want to.
So if Ange's a highlight for this,
do you know the things? I don't know what I want worse. I don't know whether I want City to lose or Spurs to lose, because they're two clubs I don't like. Because obviously I want more compounding misery for Spurs. Same time, I'm like, if this is the best time to take points off City, take it off them now.
Oh yeah. And to be fair,
because at some point we know they're going to fix up.
Yeah, right. And
I'm going draw.
You're going draw. To be fair, it seems like no matter who the manager is, Spurs seem to get wins against City. So, okay, you saying draw.
What do you think? Spurs win?
You know what, man? Brendan Johnson double. Why not?
Well, this match I need to get Solanke out of my team, to be honest.
Yes, yeah. I think you do. And don't give him the armband ever again, please. Please don't.
I've learned my lesson.
I've always said the only team you give an armband to one of your players on FPL is against Southampton. Believe me. Trust me on that one. You'll be happy. So Liverpool, Southampton, Salah, that's going to be a triple captain. I'm not going to lie to you. Just dunk him.
I think a man is considered that too.
Just go for it, honestly. Speaking of that, I didn't even realize Southampton, Liverpool.
That's exactly what I was saying. That could be a triple captain for Mo Salah there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So what are we saying? 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 nil? What are we saying?
I think it could get nasty. I think it could be like a 6-0.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that probably will be second number 2 of the season. Ipswich, Man United.
First match, I believe. Generally, I think United will win, but I think it'll be a tight win. I don't think it'll be as easy as maybe people think it would be. I think this could potentially be a 2-1. Only because I think Ipswich will make it tough, and obviously the confidence of their win. And I think because Ruben's still finding his feet, I think there'll be a level of conservatism, a level of being conservative at points in the game.
Right.
Just because it's his first game, and I don't think he will. I'll be very surprised if I see him kind of go all out. I think it will look to start well, and then maybe kind of control the game a bit. And I think that might give, because Ipswich are at home, that might give Ipswich confidence. And it's only because I'm saying this. It's only because it's his first game. That's the only reason why I'm saying that.
Right. That's fair.
I think it could be like a tight 2-1 to United.
No, that's fair. I'm going to go 3-1. Okay. I agree with you. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. Ipswich at home have been tough anyway for everyone, to be fair. They've not made it easy for anybody. They just struggle to finish their dinner most of the time, unless your name is Liam Delap. But they've got their first win. So who's to say that they can't go against United and even get a point out of it. It's not out of the question. But I'm going to go 3-1 United. And the Monday night kickoff, we'll ignore the Friday night for the following week. Newcastle, West Ham.
I was gonna say Newcastle win,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm trying to think: can West Ham surprise me and get a draw?
I'm going to lie to you. This is Lopetegui's last game, bro. I'm going to lie to you. This is the last.
This is you got fill out the bag. Yeah, I got.
Nah. He's done. He's done. He's jumping on that first Ryanair back to Spain, bro. I'm going to lie to you.
You've convinced me. Newcastle are gonna win.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I you know me. I've got a soft for West Ham, but they're getting knocked out.
Question. If Newcastle win, does he get sacked the next day?
Oh, absolutely. He's gone. Bye. Absolutely. If I'm going to be very honest, bro. If I'm Ruud van Nistelrooy, there's only 2 jobs I'm looking at right now: West Ham and Tottenham, because I feel like one of them are next. And the reason why I was saying Ange, I do agree that if he is to go, it'll probably be end of the season. But the reason why I put his name in there as a question is because he's doing everything that Mourinho, Conte, and Pochettino did, and that was fight with the board loudly. He's going out there and telling the people, it's not the players, it's me. The 2 of them did that. Conte, we know his rant. He went off on the players, but I think they needed that as well. I think he didn't tell one lie in that rant, to be quite frank. But they've all come out and said, look, that was on me. This is on me. We need new players. We need new this. We need new that. The referees this, the referees that. It all adds to the pressure. Funny enough, I think if Spurs stuck with Ange for a long term, I think they have another domestic cup on the cards. And they can't, not this season, but they can't make the mistake they did with Mourinho because, actually, I call that a mistake. That was just a calamitous error. You get to a final with a bona fide manager who wins cup finals against many a manager, and your answer is to sack him days before the final and put Ryan Mason in charge.
Yeah.
Good job, Daniel Levy. Fantastic. Or as expression scores in Daniel Levi roots. Gosh. But yeah, look, another good Premier League weekend. A lot of drama coming out of Premier League weekend with a certain referee. But we will find out more.
They should have released that video on Friday, because it's international break now. They should have released that video on Friday rather than today.
You know what? I just realized, now you said that, I completely forgot international break. I was talking about the fish as if it's the weekend coming, which means we're going to have topics on social media about relationships and all that kind of stuff. So guys, put your phones away. Do not talk about social media. Don't even worry about FPL. You have to worry for about a week and a half. Just enjoy your weeks and yeah, man. Apparently, a lot of players have dropped out of the England squad. So you're going to see James Trafford, Jared Bowen's back, Jared Branthwaite. Yeah, man. Exciting times for the internationals. Before we go, Basil, anything to plug?
No, nothing to plug. You can catch me on social media at bjacobs14. Yeah, unfortunately, this season I'm not as happy as I've been the past 2 seasons. So back to pessimistic Basil at the timeline when it comes to Arsenal. But hey.
There you go. And for me, style of play over here for me, style of play podcast. My personal Twitter is Kojo, Kojo 3 in midfield, as you know, from free midfield. So come and check in there. Use it. I don't talk about football anymore. I've resorted to wanting to do wrestling Twitter, and that's not even better either. That's actually a lot worse of a place to be. So I might have to run back. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Drop your comments in the comments below. Let us know what you think of the David Coote thing in particular. That one, I think it's just beginning of many, many, many scandals coming out of this. So, yeah, exciting times. Don't love the drama of TV, but do love the drama of football. Right. And that will be all. Have a good night, people.